In a dark forest, a high school student named Kaya Kazuhisa watches intently from the bushes. His eyes are fixed on a terrifying scene. A monstrous creature is attacking a young girl. The girl, Shimizono Arisu, is powerless against the beast, crying out for it to stop. She reaches out a hand in desperation, begging for someone, anyone, to save her. Kaya grips his weapon, his expression hardening with resolve. He wasn't just going to save her. He was going to kill that thing. The scene flashes back to an hour earlier. Kaya had just finished digging a massive pitfall trap in the woods. He was setting a trap for his bully, a blonde student he knew would come looking for him. Kaya reassured himself that the bully would definitely fall for the message he sent. With the trap completed, Kaya believed his target would think he was hiding something valuable there, leading him right into it. His plan was simple and brutal. Once the bully fell in, he would finish him with a bamboo spear and then set him on fire. This was his revenge. Kaya recalls how the bully held all the power at school: strength, grades, and money. No one, not even the teachers, dared to go against him. He knew that if things continued, he would be bullied to death. So he made a chilling decision. He would kill his tormentor before he got killed himself. Just then, he spots a figure approaching. It's him. The bully has arrived. Kaya's heart pounds, but he forces himself to stay calm, telling himself not to panic and ruin everything. But something is wrong. The bully is standing at the edge of the clearing, far from the trap. Kaya falls into a confused silence, looking up from his hiding spot. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake violently. Kaya wonders if it's an earthquake. As the tremor stops, Kaya panics. He sees his target walking away and worries that the earthquake has ruined his one chance for revenge. Kaya drops to his knees in despair, pleading for the bully not to go. All his preparations were about to go to waste. But he quickly gathers himself, clenching his fist. He tells himself not to give up yet, hoping the bully might return once he feels it's safe from any landslides. He hears someone approaching again, but the footsteps are much heavier this time, and the breathing is labored. It's not his bully. Without warning, something massive crashes into his trap. Kaya is stunned to see that whatever fell in is still moving. Wasting no time, Kaya leaps into action, grabbing his spear and the canister of gasoline. It was time to finish this. He ruthlessly thrusts the spear down into the pit again and again before dousing the creature with gasoline. As flames erupt from the pit, Kaya is overcome with a wave of pure ecstasy. He starts laughing, realizing just how good it felt to finally fight back. He loses himself in a frenzy, stomping and screaming "die!" repeatedly, releasing all his pent-up rage. But as the flames die down, he sees the monster's body dissolving into particles of light. Kaya stares in shock, unable to comprehend what's happening. Suddenly, a message flashes before his eyes, bright and clear. "You have leveled up." In an instant, the forest vanishes. Kaya finds himself standing alone in a completely empty, white room with only a school desk and a laptop nearby. Completely bewildered, he questions what just happened and where on earth he is. He looks around the strange, empty space, trying to make sense of his new reality. He walks over to the desk and sees a status screen on the laptop. It displays his own name, Kaya Kazuhisa, along with stats like level, HP, and strength. He's in disbelief. Kaya yells into the empty space, demanding an explanation for what's happening. The status screen seems to be a part of his own vision now, showing him as level 1 with 2 skill points. He bombards the system with questions, but the only response he gets is "cannot answer." He realizes he's the only one here and has to type his questions into the laptop. He sits down and begins typing, trying to get any information he can out of the mysterious system. After a long session, he leans back in thought. While most of his questions weren't answered directly, the silence itself gave him some clues, and he started to piece things together. He's figured out the basic rules. This isn't a dream. He can enter this room by defeating enemies to level up, which also grants him skill points. Most importantly, time outside is completely frozen while he's here. It's just like a video game. But then he asks the most crucial question: can he revive after death? The computer gives a blunt, terrifying answer. You cannot. The reality of his situation sinks in. This isn't a game, it's life and death. He learns that the creature he killed was an orc. To survive, he'll have to fight more of them. He has 2 skill points and a list of 17 different skill types to choose from. Knowing he needs to choose carefully, Kaya allocates his 2 points, acquiring rank 1 in both bestowal magic and summoning magic. Before leaving, he asks one final question. Why was he given these powers? The system simply states that they are necessary for his survival. The thought of being a hero crosses his mind, but he quickly dismisses it as impossible. In a flash, he's back in a forest, standing in the exact same spot as before. Everything the computer said was true. The system's words echo in his mind. To survive here, he has to rely on his new skills. A new sense of determination fills him. First things first, he needs to test out his new abilities. He reaches out his hand and chants, "Summon Raven." A magical raven materializes and takes flight. It worked. Kaya immediately gives its first command, "Search the area." To his surprise, the raven speaks directly into his mind, reporting an orc wandering on a nearby road. With this new intel, Kaya decides to use his remaining pitfall traps to his advantage. Next, he tries his bestowal magic on himself, casting Mighty Arm and Physical Up. Instantly, his body feels lighter, and the heavy bamboo spear feels much easier to wield. So this is bestowal magic. He has so many questions about its range and duration, but the only way to get answers is to level up again. He spots the orc and calls out to it, ready for another fight. He braces himself for the fight, his goal clear. Defeat this monster and get back to the White Room for more information. Thanks to his physical buffs, Kaya easily outruns the lumbering orc, taunting it to follow him. He's leading it straight towards another trap, the goal now clearly in sight. But in his haste, he trips. The orc lunges and sinks its teeth into his leg, sending a shock of pain through his body as he hits the ground hard. Ignoring the searing pain in his leg, Kaya looks back just in time to see the orc tumble headfirst into the hidden pitfall. The monster is wounded but still trying to claw its way out. Kaya knows he can't let it escape. He has to kill it now. He finishes the orc off. Exhausted and bleeding, he sits by the edge of the trap, confirming the kill. But this time, he notices he didn't level up. He figures it's expected. The experience needed to get to level 2 would naturally be higher. As the orc's body disintegrates, he spots something sparkling left behind. He tells his raven to keep watch for any other enemies. He picks up the glittering object, a small red gem. He wonders if it's a ruby or perhaps some kind of drop item from the monster. He decides to check the first pitfall where he killed the original orc. Just as he thought, there's another sparkling gem. This whole situation is becoming more and more like a video game. Suddenly, his raven sends him an urgent message. There's another orc nearby, and it's chasing a human. The scene shifts, and we now see the human is Shimizono Arisu, the girl from the beginning. She's running desperately through the woods, trying to escape the monster hot on her trail. But she stumbles, falling hard to the forest floor. There's no time to get up. The orc is upon her in an instant, grabbing her and tearing at her clothes with its filthy hands. Arisu is frozen in terror. Kaya arrives just in time to see the horrific scene unfold. The orc has her pinned down and is about to assault her. He also notices the creature has carelessly dropped its sword nearby. His immediate, cold-hearted reaction is to see this as a chance. He can use the girl as bait, wait for the perfect moment, and land a surprise attack. He knows he has to fight it sooner or later anyway. He prepares himself for battle, casting his strengthening spells on his body, his weapon, and even his summoned raven. He waits, reasoning that the orc will be most vulnerable at the peak of its disgusting act. He just needs to hold on for a little longer. He watches as the orc gets closer, telling himself to wait for it to take one more step. Arisu can only watch in tears, her hope fading. But then, a terrible thought strikes him. What if the girl makes a sound and gives away his position? What if she betrays him? He panics, remembering what happened last time. The memory floods back. He remembers standing up for someone who was being bullied, only for the bullies to turn on him instead. That was the justice he received. Even the very person he saved joined in on tormenting him. It was then that Kaya decided he would never trust anyone ever again. Back in the present, Arisu screams. Kaya tries to shut down his emotions, telling himself it doesn't matter if he's betrayed. All that matters is killing the orc and getting EXP. Arisu continues to fight back, desperately trying to push the monster away. Her struggle finally gets its full attention, and the orc raises a hand to strike her. Watching her refuse to give up, something inside Kaya snaps. He's had enough. He can't just stand by and watch this happen. He lunges from the bushes, driving his spear deep into the orc's back. The monster shrieks in pain as blood erupts from the wound. But the orc is incredibly tough. It turns and swats him away with a single, powerful blow, sending him flying. The enraged orc starts looking for its sword. Just then, Kaya's raven swoops down, carrying the weapon in its talons and taunting the beast. It yells, "Your sword is over here." In a monster-filled forest, a young student named Kaya Kazuhisa finds himself in a desperate fight. His ambush failed, and now he's cornered by grotesque creatures, wondering what to do. He tries to go on the offensive, but the orc is too strong. It grabs his sword, and in an instant, Kaya is disarmed, his shock evident as the blade is ripped from his grasp. Without a weapon, he's defenseless. The orc's fist smashes into him, sending him flying. All he can think is, "I'm going to get killed." Blood splatters from his mouth as he hits the ground. The orc stands over him, victorious, while Kaya can only look on in terror. From the bushes, a girl watches the brutal scene unfold. Despite his injuries, Kaya gets back up and continues to fight, taking down the monsters one by one with a spear. Suddenly, the world dissolves into white. Kaya finds himself in a strange, empty space, and a notification appears before him. "You have leveled up." He realizes that after 3 intense battles, he started to understand how this new world works. Now in this safe room, he knows he has time to carefully plan his next move. Kaya knows he can't keep getting lucky in close combat. His best bet is to use his summoning magic, but his crow is too weak. He considers summoning puppet golems, calculating that 2 of them are as strong as a single orc. But he realizes there are likely other, stronger enemies than orcs. What he really needs is a vanguard, a frontline fighter. His thoughts drift to the girl he saw earlier, wondering if he has to find someone to team up with. His mind immediately recoils from the idea. How stupid, he thinks. I'll get betrayed again. He'd rather fight alone and acquire skills himself. But then he remembers how the girl fought desperately, believing in him. Kaya weighs his options. What if he makes her his comrade, gives her spear skills, and lets her be the vanguard while he supports from the back? But the thought of giving a weapon to a girl and trusting her seems like too much trouble. He thinks back to the fight. She trusted him then. Maybe if they both trusted each other, they have a clear advantage. But he quickly dismisses the thought, worried that she might not even need his help in the future. The question hangs in his mind. Should I trust a person one more time? His immediate, instinctual answer is a hard no. But after a moment of intense debate with himself, he makes a decision. He decides to put his trust in her, allocating his skill points to reflect his new strategy. Just as he makes his choice, he's violently thrown back into the forest. He collapses on the ground, gasping, having forgotten that he would return to his previous, wounded state. As he struggles to catch his breath, he looks up to see the girl, Shimizono Arisu, looking down at him with a gentle, concerned expression. He notices her clothes are torn and dirty from the fight. She clutches her skirt, clearly uncomfortable and shaken from the ordeal. Still on the ground, Kaya looks up as she formally introduces herself, Shimizono Arisu, from junior high school. She repeats her name and class, her voice soft but clear, despite the terrifying situation they're in. With a determined look, though his face is still flushed and battered, he introduces himself as well. Kaya Kazuhisa, a first-year high school student. As Kaya's summoned crow circles above, Arisu bows her head and thanks him for saving her life. Noticing her torn blouse, A flustered Kaya quickly takes off his school vest and offers it to her, telling her to use it for now. After she puts it on, Kaya can't help but think she looks even better than before. Arisu, however, points to his hands and feet, asking him why they're glowing. Kaya starts to explain his powers, warning her that the story is completely unbelievable. But to his surprise, Arisu looks at him and says with conviction, "I believe you." She asks him to tell her everything, promising that she'll tell him what happened after the earthquake in return. Kaya recounts everything that's happened to him, the strange level-ups, gaining skills, and finding her in the forest. Arisu listens quietly as he's taken aback by her immediate trust. After he finishes, Arisu simply says she understands. Kaya is secretly relieved, thankful she didn't ask any probing questions about why he was making traps in the first place. It's Arisu's turn to speak. She explains that after the earthquake, huge numbers of orcs attacked their school, forcing everyone to scatter and run for their lives. Her voice trembles as she admits she was the only one who got away, saved only by his intervention. Overwhelmed with despair, she looks up at Kaya and asks a desperate question. "Can I also become strong?" She asks him again if she can be as strong as him. Kaya tells her it's probably possible if she can kill an orc. Without a moment's hesitation, Arisu's eyes fill with determination, and she declares, "I'll kill them." Hearing this, Kaya agrees to lend her his power. With tears streaming down her face, Arisu pleads for his strength. She's tired of being weak, of being trampled on without being able to do anything. Seeing her resolve, Kaya accepts her plea. Their hunt begins. They spot another orc, the fourth one today. Kaya has gotten used to fighting them, but this one presents a new problem. This orc is carrying a long spear. Kaya knows this is bad news. Their pitfall trap strategy is now much more dangerous, as the creature can attack them from below. Kaya explains the skills he's bestowed upon her: keen weapon, physical up, and mighty arm. Arisu is amazed, saying her body feels incredibly light. He also tells her about a new skill he learned, blood attraction, which will heal her wounds when she hurts an enemy. Kaya focuses on the spear-wielding orc, knowing he has to do something about its weapon. He lays out the plan for Arisu. Lure it into the pitfall, then she hides in the bushes until it's time to finish it off. With the orc charging, Kaya acts as bait. He knows a direct confrontation is too risky, so he decides to try using his magically enhanced crow as a distraction. The crow dives at the orc, pecking furiously at its face. The sudden attack throws the monster off balance. The plan works perfectly. Blinded and enraged, the orc stumbles forward, falling right into the hidden trap. Seeing his chance, Kaya yells for Arisu to move in. The orc lands hard, impaled on the sharpened stakes below. The pit is deep enough that it can't move. The trap is a success. Kaya shouts words of encouragement, telling Arisu to do her best. Gripping the spear with both hands, she prepares for her first kill. With a powerful cry, Arisu charges forward, her face a mask of fear and determination as she drives the spear into the helpless orc. Tears mix with sweat as she puts all her strength into the final blow. Kaya watches intently, yelling for her to finish it. With a final, decisive thrust, a splash of blood marks the end of the battle. As the light fades, Arisu stands over the fallen monster, a different aura surrounding her. Tears still stream down her face, but she feels changed. Kaya notices it immediately and asks, "Did you level up?" She nods, confirming that she chose spear arts and healing magic. To prove it, she immediately casts heal on Kaya's injured ankle. The pain in his leg vanishes instantly. Kaya is amazed at how useful her new ability is. Arisu smiles, finally convinced that the white room and the skills are real. Kaya jokes if she was doubting him, but she quickly denies it. Arisu thanks him sincerely, saying she was only able to select her skills properly because he helped her. She then calls him by his first name, Kazuhisa, a sign of their growing bond. Kaya suggests that since they're comrades, they should be less formal. He asks her to call him Kazu. She shyly agrees and asks him to call her Arisu. Kaya agrees, a rare, genuine smile gracing his lips. He can't help but wonder how long it's been since he last smiled like that. He then shows her one of his own skills. He picks up the orc's broken spearhead, and with a flash of light, uses repair to make it whole again, much to Arisu's amazement. Kaya explains that his rank 2 support magic now allows him to repair items. Holding the restored spear, Arisu feels a surge of confidence, realizing she can finally fight back. She grips the weapon tightly, her eyes filled with a new fire. With this power, she declares to herself, "I'm not weak anymore." Now that she's reached level 1, Kaya suggests they officially form a party. When Arisu asks how, he explains the process is simple. They just have to join hands and wish for it. As they walk, Kaya apologizes for not realizing sooner that he could have repaired her torn uniform. Arisu is just grateful, but then she blushes, pointing to the party marks on their hands, and shyly says, "Now we have matching rings." Arisu asks where they're heading. Kaya points toward a steep cliff up ahead, explaining he wants to get a better view of their surroundings. He explains that their school, Kitayama Academy, is located on a mountain, and from that cliff, they should be able to see the nearby station. His goal is to get a proper grasp of what's going on. But when they reach the top, the sight that greets them is horrifying. The familiar landscape is gone, replaced by a bizarre and alien world stretching to the horizon. They both stare in stunned silence. Below, massive, unfamiliar beasts roam the land. Suddenly, a terrifying flying creature dives from the sky, snatching one of the beasts in its talons and flying off. Overwhelmed by the impossible scene, Arisu asks a panicked, nonsensical question. Which way is the station? Kaya can only reply with the grim truth. He doesn't know. But one thing is certain, this is not the world they came from. Kaya confesses he suspected as much after visiting the White Room. He came to the cliff to confirm his fears. The entire mountain was transported to this strange world during the earthquake. Their only hope is to get stronger. Standing on the edge of their new reality, Kaya decides they'll seek more answers in the White Room later. For now, they can only move forward. Time passes, and Arisu's training begins. She now hunts orcs on her own, her face set with grim determination. She's no longer the helpless girl from before. Empowered by Kaya's magic, she skillfully dodges an orc's attack and counters with her spear. With a powerful swing, she knocks the monster off its feet, proving how much she's grown as a fighter. She finishes the beast with a decisive strike. Kaya watches from a distance, seeing a true warrior emerge. Arisu proudly reports her victory, amazed that she could defeat an orc all by herself with his help. Now that they can both fight, Kaya tells her his crow has scouted a path. Orcs are descending from the top of the mountain. It's time to plan their next move. But before he can continue, Arisu stops him. With a serious expression, she says she has a favor to ask. She wants to save her friend and asks him to come with her back to the school. Kaya is taken aback by her request. Save her friend from the hordes of orcs? Arisu looks down, unable to meet his eyes, her face filled with shame. With tears streaming down her face, she makes the heartbreaking confession. She tells him she left her friend behind while she was being attacked by an orc and ran away. With his new companion, Kaya Kazuhisa's next trial was already beginning. Arisu Shimizono explained that her friend's name was Ryuki Tamaki, and she was determined to save her. The scene shifts to a flashback, where Arisu recalls how energetic and full of life Tamaki always was, constantly running around the school gym. Arisu admits she was never good at sports herself. While the other girls played basketball, she would sit on the sidelines, content just to watch Tamaki having fun. One day, a stray basketball hit Arisu. Tamaki quickly ran over, apologizing and asking if she wanted to join them. Arisu, being shy, declined, saying she wasn't good at sports. But Tamaki wouldn't take no for an answer. With a bright smile, she introduced herself and reached out a hand, pulling Arisu up. Thanks to that simple gesture, Arisu, who wasn't good at socializing, was able to make a lot of friends. Back in the present, Arisu explains what happened. They had gone to the training institute because Tamaki wanted to learn how to cook. But after the earthquake, everything went wrong. Suddenly, horrifying monsters appeared. To save Arisu, Tamaki acted as a decoy, drawing the creatures away so she could escape. Arisu recounts how she ran away in a blind panic, but another orc found her in the forest. That's when Kaya's familiar found her. Despite everything, she holds on to the belief that Tamaki is still alive. With tears in her eyes, Arisu declares that she must go back to the training institute to save her friend. Kaya thinks to himself that he's heard of the place, an old, renovated school building. Kaya knows the chances of Tamaki still being alive are slim. But he also knows that if he refuses, Arisu will go by herself, which would be a death sentence. He tells her it would be a double disaster if they both went in and died. Arisu's hope wavers as she asks if he'll come with her. Kaya agrees, but with a condition. They'll go to the training institute, but if it seems impossible, they'll turn back. A relieved Arisu immediately agrees. He lays out a plan. They have 30 minutes until 5 o'clock to level up their skills to rank 2 before they head to the institute. They need to hurry. As they begin fighting monsters, Kaya is secretly impressed. Arisu's desire to save her friend has given her a clear goal and a reason to get stronger. He had worried she might act recklessly, but she's focused. He realizes that Arisu understood the risks and dangers from the start, yet she still asked for his help. She was willing to face this nightmare for her friend. Seeing her charge head-on into danger for his sake, Kaya feels a sense of reciprocity. She was risking her life for him. He decides then and there that he would do the same for her. As Arisu strikes down another orc, their partnership is solidified in battle. After killing 2 more orcs, Kaya's familiar spots their next target, another one about 100 meters ahead. Without hesitation, they move on to the next fight. Suddenly, their surroundings change. They find themselves in a white, empty room with 2 desks and computers. Arisu quietly speaks up, breaking the silence. Arisu is confused. They only leveled up after defeating 3 orcs. Kaya speculates that it might be because of a party ring, which allows all members to enter the room if even one person levels up. Kaya approaches one of the computers to check his stats, but Arisu panics, yelling at him not to look and hiding behind the desk in embarrassment. He reassures her it's nothing to be ashamed of. He teases her with a grin, which only makes her angrier. She pouts, calling it sexual harassment and saying she's disappointed in him, while he quickly apologizes for his bad joke. As he kneels at his computer, Arisu notices something new on his status screen. There's a new section that wasn't there before. Kaya sees it too. A section for party members has appeared. They realize this new function allows them to strategize together. But more importantly, he can control who accompanies him to this room by simply unchecking a box. With their strategy set, Kaya leans back, figuring there isn't much else to discuss. He casually asks Arisu if she has any questions before they head out. Blushing, Arisu hesitantly asks Kaya if she can ask him something about himself, showing a desire to know him better beyond their grim circumstances. Kaya deflects the personal question, dismissing his own story as boring. But he leaves the door open, promising to tell her someday, a response that leaves him looking troubled. He adds a cynical condition to his promise, if we're still working together at that time. Accepting this, Arisu decides to upgrade her spear arts to rank 2. As her spear arts level up, they leave the white room, only to be confronted by a horrific sight waiting for them back in the real world, a severed head impaled on a spear. They see 2 hulking orcs standing guard near the head. Kaya immediately realizes this isn't a student, but an adult, a teacher or a school worker. The rules of the old world are officially dead. Tears stream down Arisu's face, but her eyes burn with determination. Kaya asks if she's okay, and she grits her teeth, declaring she can take them both down at once. The brutal display has filled her not with fear, but with rage. She pleads with Kaya, not for help, but for permission to handle this herself. Seeing her resolve, Kaya agrees. He tells her it's time for revenge, and with a shared goal, Arisu unleashes a furious battle cry and charges forward. With incredible speed, Arisu closes the distance, her spear ready as the 2 monstrous orcs prepare to defend themselves. She leaps into the air, bringing her spear down in a powerful arc, striking the first orc directly on its head with a sickening crunch. Without missing a beat, she tears her spear free and spins, ready to engage the second orc who is now charging at her. Kaya watches in awe as she skillfully parries the orc's attack and counters. But he sees the second orc swinging its club from the side and desperately yells for her to dodge. The orc's weapon smashes down with immense force, shattering Arisu's spear and sending her stumbling back. Her weapon is gone, and the orc moves in for the kill. Reacting instantly, Kaya yells out and throws his own weapon toward her. She catches it just in time, but the orc's massive fist is already swinging toward her face. There's no time to block, but before the blow can land, a barrier materializes in front of her, absorbing the impact with a deafening crash as she skewers the orc through the mouth. As she lands the final blow, a notification appears in her vision. She is leveled up. Kaya can only watch, impressed by her growth in the heat of battle. Back in the White Room, Kaya explains the system. They had defeated a total of 6 orcs since forming a party, meaning the experience was split evenly. They each got credit for 3 kills, enough for them both to level up. Kaya checks to see if Arisu is okay. She quietly admits that she got caught and was nearly finished. If he hadn't saved her back then, she would have been done for. With his level up, Kaya can finally upgrade his summoning magic to rank 2. He declares it's time to form a proper strategy before heading into the Institute. They arrive at the ominous Training Institute, ready to save everyone inside. Kaya's familiar flies ahead, scouting the entrance and reporting back that 2 orcs are guarding the front. Kaya lays out the rules of engagement. If there are less than 3 orcs, they'll attack head-on. Between 4 and 6, he'll use his familiar as a decoy to pick them off one by one. But if there are more than 7, they will retreat, no questions asked. It's a promise. With his new rank, Kaya summons a puppet golem. The creature assembles itself from chunks of wood. To his surprise, Arisu's eyes sparkle as she finds the clumsy-looking golem so cute. With their strategy set and their new abilities ready, they share a determined look. It's time to go. They cautiously enter the building, with the puppet golem taking point. As they creep through the dark corridors, the foot of an orc steps into view just around the corner, alerting them to immediate danger. They round the corner and are met with a sight so horrifying it makes their blood run cold. Arisu freezes, her body trembling in shock at the scene unfolding in the dark room before them. Kaya can only utter her name, stunned. Inside the room, a female student is being brutally assaulted by orcs. Her eyes are wide with terror, her clothes torn as the monstrous creatures defile her. The room is a slaughterhouse. More bodies of students are scattered across the floor, victims of the orcs' rampage. The sheer depravity of it all leaves them speechless. Kaya and Arisu can only stand there for a moment, paralyzed by the absolute horror they are witnessing. But the shock quickly turns to pure rage. With tears streaming down her face, Arisu lets out a heart-wrenching scream and charges forward, her only thought to make it stop. Blinded by fury, she rushes into the room, ignoring Kaya's frantic shout as he tries to call her back. She becomes a whirlwind of vengeance, her spear cutting through the monsters with ruthless efficiency as blood splatters across the walls. One by one, the orcs fall to her relentless assault. Her movements are no longer hesitant. They are fueled by a cold, righteous anger. But it's too late. As the last orc falls, Arisu looks at the girl she tried to save, only to see the life fade from her eyes as her body dissolves into motes of light. The room falls silent. Kaya watches as Arisu stands amidst the carnage, her hair shadowing her face. She reports in a hollow voice that her friend, Tamaki, was not among them. Kaya clenches his fist, asking if there were any survivors. He can see Arisu's shoulders shaking as she starts to break down, calling herself pathetic. Her internal monologue is one of self-hatred. She confesses to herself that her first reaction upon seeing the horrific scene was a selfish wave of relief that Tamaki wasn't one of the victims. The guilt is overwhelming. As she cries, She berates herself for feeling relieved while other girls suffered such a terrible fate. She feels like the worst person imaginable. Kaya watches her sob, completely at a loss for words. He doesn't know how to offer comfort in a situation this grim. He sees himself as a coward, using her strength to survive. Believing any comfort from him would be meaningless, he instead tells her to keep going. "You can cry after it's all over," he says, his voice firm. His harsh words cut through her grief. Arisu wipes her tears, her expression hardening with resolve as she agrees. They stand in the Institute's main hall, the scale of the infestation becoming clear. More orcs patrol the upper levels, and their fight is far from over. Composing herself, Arisu questions Kaya's strategy, pointing out that upgrading his healing magic would have been a logical choice. She notes how much easier fighting became after her own upgrade. A small, confident smile plays on Kaya's lips. He simply says, "That's right," confirming he has a different plan in mind. He quickly divides their targets. He'll handle the 2 orcs on the right staircase. He tells Arisu to take the 2 on the left and summons a second puppet golem, ordering it to protect her. The battle begins. As Arisu moves to engage her targets, one of the orcs is intercepted by the golem, its shield absorbing the attack. The golem's shield holds firm against a powerful downward slash, stopping the monster in its tracks and leaving Arisu momentarily stunned by its effectiveness. With the golems providing cover and drawing aggro, Arisu is free to move like a blur, cutting down the defenseless orcs with terrifying precision. She skewers an orc on the stairs while Kaya and his golem hold the line below. As she lands the finishing blow on another, the battle in the main hall comes to an end. As the last orc falls, Kaya watches Arisu, amazed. Her movements are flawless, with no wasted motion. She is a natural-born fighter. He wonders if she possesses a powerful innate battle sense. Just as the thought crosses his mind, a notification appears before him. He is leveled up. They're transported back to the White Room. Kaya confirms they've reached level 4, but reminds Arisu that their mission isn't over. They must annihilate all the orcs before they can properly search for survivors. He gives her a grim warning. If the situation gets too dangerous, she must run. He reasons that if they survive, they can come back, but if they die, no one is left to save the students. Arisu silently agrees, understanding the heavy logic in his words as they prepare to return to the blood-soaked institute. The hunt continues. They systematically clear the building, taking down orcs one by one in a brutal display of efficiency. After a while, Kaya checks in with his golem, which reports that it took down 3 orcs from the second floor. After that, the building fell quiet. An eerie silence hangs in the air. With the first floor clear, they decide to head upstairs, moving cautiously with their golem guards. As they reach the second floor landing, an orc bursts from a nearby room in a surprise attack. Just as Kaya suggests they split up to search, the monster is upon them. The sudden attack triggers a traumatic flashback for Kaya. He's back in his classroom, helpless, as an axe flies towards his head, a memory of the moment he thought he would die. But this time it's different. Kaya shoves Arisu out of the way, taking the brunt of the attack himself. The blade slices into his shoulder as Arisu cries out his name. He grits his teeth, telling her it's just a scratch. As the orc raises its weapon for another strike, Kaya shields Arisu with his own body, preparing for the worst. But before the blow lands, his golems intervene, blocking the attack. In that split second, Arisu lunges forward, driving her spear through the monster's chest. The kill triggers another level up. Back in the White Room, Kaya checks on a worried Arisu. His wound has already healed. She then asks him, "Why did you save me?" confused by his selfless act. He admits he doesn't know why. His body just moved on its own. Arisu angrily points out that he almost died because of that reckless impulse. Kaya grows quiet, unable to explain his actions. He dismisses it, telling her to forget it, clearly uncomfortable with his own instincts. In his mind, he sees a clear difference between them. He thinks to himself, "She's different from me." He believes she fights with pure instinct, without calculation. He sees himself as a coward who only moves based on logic, failing to see that he just proved himself wrong. Arisu asks him what's wrong, but he brushes it off. Instead, he decides to use their accumulated skill points to upgrade her spear arts to rank 3. Back in the hallway, Arisu explains she needs to conserve her low MP, which is why she hasn't healed him. She then shyly offers to repair his torn clothes later, a small gesture of concern. Kaya decides to press on alone. He tells Arisu to wait at the entrance of the corridor with the golems while he checks each room for survivors. He enters the tea ceremony club room and is met with another scene of carnage. The room is destroyed, and the bodies of female students are strewn across the floor. He can only stare, disgusted by the senseless brutality. But amidst the horror, he spots movement. One of the girls is still breathing. There's a survivor. She's barely conscious, her voice a faint whisper as she pleads for someone to help. As Arisu rushes in to help, Kaya introduces himself. The survivor, Shiki Yukuriko, looks up, her eyes widening in recognition as she weakly says his name. A ghost from his past has just reappeared. Arisu asks if he knows the survivor. Kaya confirms that it's Shiki Yukuriko, the vice president of his class. Shiki, still in a daze, slowly realizes that it was Kaya who saved her. Kaya coldly brushes off her gratitude, telling her to thank Arisu instead. He turns away, his expression hard, and asks Arisu to step outside with him for a moment. Arisu gently comforts the traumatized girl, who can only manage a weak, okay, in response. Once they're in the hall, Shiki gives them a vital piece of information. There are other survivors hiding behind a fire door on the staircase to the 3rd floor. Kaya's face remains an emotionless mask as he takes in the news. The name, Shiki Yukuriko, triggers a flood of painful memories for Kaya. He's transported back to his old classroom, remembering the constant bullying he endured. And he remembers Shiki, the vice president, standing by and doing nothing. He knows it's not fair to hold a grudge, but he can't forget the fact that she was just a bystander. He clutches his chest, the old wounds feeling fresh again. For him, the past is not the past. He can't just pretend it didn't happen. Pushing aside his feelings, he follows her directions to the steel fire door. He calls out, announcing that all the enemies have been dealt with and it's safe to come out. A hesitant voice from behind the door asks if it's really true. The fear in their voice is palpable. The door creaks open, and a girl asks about Arisu, frantic to know if she's safe. Kaya explains that he came with Arisu to save them, and that she's currently treating the injured. The girl's face breaks into a tearful smile of pure relief. It's Tamaki. She thanks God that Arisu is safe. Their reunion is just moments away. Kaya formally introduces himself, but the overjoyed Tamaki insists he call her by her first name. For a brief moment, Kaya allows himself to think the mission is finally over. As Tamaki leads him to the other survivors, Kaya wonders if this is where he and Arisu will part ways. But just as that thought crosses his mind, a deafening explosion rips through the building. A monstrous, armored orc general smashes through the wall. It towers over them, a far greater threat than anything they've faced before. Kaya screams for Tamaki to get back inside and close the door, his moment of relief instantly turning to sheer terror. Staring at the hulking beast, Kaya's tactical mind screams a single, horrifying conclusion. There's no way they can win against this thing. Watching from the 2nd floor balcony, Kaya Kazuhisa could only scream his friends' names as a monstrous orc swung its weapon, unleashing a devastating attack. He cursed under his breath. Orcs were swarming them from both the top and bottom of the stairs, leaving them with no clear path to escape. He quickly coordinated with Arisu, telling her to handle the enemies below. With no time to spare, Kaya yelled for Shiki Yukuriko to find cover behind a nearby door. Her face was pale with terror. But Arisu Shimizono didn't hesitate. With grim determination, she faced the grotesque pig-like monster and charged forward, spear in hand. She ducked under its clumsy swing and drove her spear deep into its side. The attack was clean and powerful, sending blood flying everywhere. Just as she finished one off, another orc blindsided her from the stairs. Kaya shouted a warning, telling her to dodge, but it was too late. The blow sent her flying. Arisu barely managed to block the attack with her spear, but the impact was far stronger than she anticipated. The sheer force of the blow sent her hurtling through the air, completely overpowering her. With a deafening crash, the monster's strike shattered the entire staircase. Arisu coughed up blood from the impact, and Kaya could only watch in horror. Suddenly, a much larger, more menacing orc appeared at the top of the ruined stairs. Seeing the immediate danger, Kaya yelled at Arisu, telling her to roll to the left immediately. She reacted instantly, throwing herself to the side just as the elite orc's axe smashed the ground where she'd been a second before. Kaya realized this new enemy was on a whole other level. He shouted down, desperately asking Arisu if she could still move. Despite the grim situation, he spotted an opportunity. Arisu was close to the exit. He steeled himself, knowing they had a chance to escape, and prepared to jump. He quickly laid out the plan to Arisu. He would jump out the window and summon a puppet golem to act as a decoy, creating an opening for her to run. As the wooden golem drew the orc's attention, he urged her to focus only on escaping. They could come back to save the others later, but only if they survived now. Now, run, he commanded, telling her they'd meet up at the pitfall they had prepared earlier. The elite orc turned its attention to the golem, giving her the opening she needed. Kaya watched Shiki-san, still hiding upstairs as Arisu made her escape. With a final look, he hardened his resolve to follow through with the plan. There was no time to hesitate. Knowing their lives were on the line, he took a deep breath and leaped from the second-story window. It was a long way down. He landed hard, the impact jarring his entire body. He wondered if he'd pushed his body-strengthening skill too far. Just as he pushed himself up, a notification popped up. "You have leveled up." Confused but knowing he couldn't stay, he decided to run for the forest to regroup with Arisu. He suddenly found himself in a strange, empty space, face to face with Arisu. He was bewildered. How could he have leveled up? His mind raced. His calculation was clear. He would only level up if every orc besides the boss was defeated. But Arisu was supposed to be escaping, not fighting. She couldn't have had enough time. Arisu looked at him, tears streaming down her face as she apologized. She told him she couldn't escape, leaving Kaya speechless with confusion and dread. She confessed with tears in her eyes that when the time came to flee, she thought about Shiki-san and couldn't bring herself to abandon another person. Her feet just stopped. Because she stayed, she managed to defeat the remaining orcs. But now, with the boss blocking her path, she saw no hope. Believing her end was near, she made a final request, for Kazu-san to please take care of Tamaki. Kaya confirmed that Shiki was safe and hiding on the third floor. Hearing this, Arisu felt a wave of relief. He didn't understand her talk of a final request. With a sad smile, she explained that she was about to die, violated by the orc in the most painful way imaginable. Kaya pulled her into a hug, wondering how she could still be smiling. She apologized, feeling like she hadn't been much help to him. Her hand gripped his shirt as she whispered that any strength she had was because of him. He told her not to say such things. She called herself an idiot for running ahead and putting him in danger, then tearfully asked if they were still companions. Finally, her brave facade crumbled completely. Tears streamed down her face as she choked out the words, "I don't want to die." And then, everything came pouring out. She confessed that she wanted to stay in his arms forever, that she never wanted to be separated from him. Her voice trembling, she admitted, "I like you." Overwhelmed with emotion, she threw her arms around his neck, pulling him close. In that desperate, fragile moment, she kissed him. Her eyes, shimmering with tears, reflected all the fear and love she had just confessed. Kaya held her, apologizing for disregarding her feelings, but his eyes were filled with a new determination. He made a promise, "You won't die. I'll come and save you." He hugged her tightly, telling her to stop crying. He would do something, he would figure out a way to fix this. Arisa tried to push him away, insisting that he couldn't get involved and didn't need to fix her mistakes. But Kaya's voice was firm as he cut her off, telling her that there was a reason he had to. "Since I like you," he declared. The words hung in the air, leaving Arisu stunned and speechless. He vowed that no matter what she said, he was going to save her. He would come up with a strategy, even if it was a cruel and reckless one. Arisa looked at him, her hope renewed, and said if he couldn't win, she would die together with him. The thought of what the orc would do to her made Kaya snap. He shouted that he'd be the one to do it with her, not some monster. Arisu, completely flustered, begged him to calm down. His expression softened, but his resolve was like steel. He promised her he wouldn't let an orc kill her. All she had to do was not give up until he came for her. Tears welled up in her eyes again, but this time they were tears of hope. She nodded, whispering yes. With his new resolve, Kaya sat down at the laptop in the White Room. It was time to find a solution. He checked his status. Level 5, with 4 skill points ready to be spent. He reviewed the enemy. The elite orc wasn't just strong, it was smart. With his available points, he could either upgrade a skill he already had, or acquire a new one and immediately boost it to rank 2. He reasoned that simply taking a new weapon skill for himself would be useless. Arisu, with her rank 3 spear arts, was already far stronger, and yet she was helpless. The logical choice was to enhance his support or summoning magic to boost her power. He typed furiously, searching for anything, any skill that could give them a fighting chance against the monster. And then his fingers stopped. A light of inspiration flashed in his mind. He found it, a small, tiny chance of victory, a method that might just let them both survive. He turned to Arisu to explain the plan he had devised. She listened intently, her expression a mix of nervousness and determination. He laid out the risks bluntly. If they failed, they would both die. Everything depended on perfect timing. He looked her straight in the eyes and asked the crucial question, "Will you believe me, Arisu?" Without a moment's hesitation, Arisu's face lit up with renewed hope. "Yes, we'll win," she declared. Kaya immediately allocated his skill points, finalizing the plan. He was back. The White Room faded, and he found himself in the schoolyard again. The sharp pain in his leg a grim reminder that this was no normal sprain. But there was no time for pain. It was a race against the clock. He activated his physical enhancement skill and forced himself to run, needing to get to Arisu as fast as he could. The sounds of battle echoed from the building, confirming his fears and hopes. She was still fighting, still alive. He pushed himself harder, screaming her name, vowing that he would not let her die. As he ran, a thought crossed his mind. In this new, terrifying world, maybe all he'd wanted was something certain, something or someone he could truly trust. He realized it could have been a coincidence. It could have been anyone, but it wasn't. It was Arisu. She had trusted him, and in doing so, had made him trust her in return. And that was why he had to save her. He burst back into the hall, just as the elite orc raised its weapon over a fallen Arisu. "I'll definitely save you," he yelled. Just as the massive weapon was about to crush her, Kaya charged in, ready to intervene. To create an opening, he summoned a crow that flew directly at the monster's face, distracting it for a crucial second. The elite orc recoiled, momentarily thrown off by the unexpected bird. Its killing blow halted just inches from his target. With the beast distracted by more summoned crows, Kaya gave the signal. Empowered by his magic, Arisu sprang into action, moving with blinding speed and slashing at the orc. The orc, enraged, turned its attention to Kaya, but he was ready. He summoned a puppet golem, which immediately intercepted the monster's attack. The small golem latched onto the elite orc, holding it back with all its might. It was a desperate move, but all Kaya needed was a few seconds. The golem was shattered to pieces, but it had served its purpose. Kaya calmly walked over to Arisu as the orc was momentarily occupied. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with tears of gratitude. He met her gaze with a reassuring smile, ready for the next phase of his plan. The elite orc, having crushed the golem and the crows, turned its full fury towards them, its eyes burning with rage. Kaya placed his hands on her, casting his support magic. Haste, he said. It was a spell that strengthened and sped up her entire body. Arisu gasped as she felt a wave of power surge through her. With the buff active, he gave her the instructions. She was to fight normally at first, and then wait for his signal for the real attack. He asked if she was ready. With a determined look, Arisu confirmed she could do it, then immediately charged toward the monster. With a powerful war cry, she leaped at the elite orc, her body now moving with supernatural speed. Her spear met the orc's weapon in a shower of sparks. Thanks to the haste spell, she was no longer completely outmatched. She was able to keep up, parrying the monster's heavy blows and weaving around its attacks with newfound agility. She ducked under a swing and managed to land a shallow cut on the orc's arm, drawing first blood in this new phase of the fight. She moved fluidly, circling the beast and keeping its full attention locked onto her, just as the plan required. Kaya watched from the sidelines, relieved that she was keeping up. So far, so good. But as Arisu landed after another dodge, panting heavily, he knew the real challenge was just beginning. He knew haste only increased her speed, not her attack power. Arisu was already injured and using up a ton of stamina. If this dragged on, she would be the first to get exhausted. They both knew the head was the creature's weak point. It was the obvious target, but that's exactly why she was avoiding it, striking at its arms and legs instead with shallow cuts. It was all a strategy to lower the monster's guard and make it careless, all to set up a single, decisive critical hit. But the relentless pace was taking its toll. Arisu panted for breath, sweat pouring down her face as she deflected another blow. She slid across the floor, narrowly dodging another powerful swing from the elite orc. She was getting tired. Kaya watched nervously, wondering if it was time. But if he gave the signal and she was too exhausted to react, it would all be for nothing. Then he saw it. The orc raised its weapon for a huge attack, and Arisu held her ground. In a flash of insight, Kaya realized she was baiting it on purpose. The monster fell for the trap, bringing its weapon down for the killing blow. This was the moment. Kaya screamed the command, "Now, do it, Arisu!" As the massive axe descended, Kaya thrust his hand forward, unleashing the trump card he'd prepared. Reflection. The weapon slammed into the invisible barrier, and all of its own immense force was thrown back at the orc. The beast was stunned, its weapon flying out of its hands as it stumbled backward, completely defenseless. With the enemy wide open, Arisu leaped high into the air, her spear poised for the final strike. With a fierce cry, she drove her spear down with all her might, plunging it deep into the monster's neck. The force of the blow was so great, it sent the orc's head flying from its shoulders. As the massive body began to topple, Arisu flipped gracefully through the air. She landed on the ground, completely spent but safe. A relieved smile spread across her face as she breathed out, "We did it." The strong enemy was finally defeated.